Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining. So we're continuing with the Srimad Bhagavatam Puran, chapter 16 of the first canto. And this is where Parikshit Maharaj receives the age of Kali. So Anandalila Mataji, please take it away.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 16, how Parikshit Maharaj received the age of Kali. Sutta Uvacha Tatha Parikshit Dvijavarya Shikshaya Mahim Mahabhagavatah Sasashaha Yatha Hi Sutyam Abhijata Kovida Samadishan Vipra Mahadgunastatha.
Sorry, I was going to ask, Puna Mataji, would you like to read the English?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. A little tricky because I'm on my phone, Prabhuji.
That's okay, no problem, no problem.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, not at all, not at all. Kaushalya Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Go for it, go for it.
Sutta Goswami said, O learned Brahmins, Maharaja Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice-born Brahmans. He ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth.
Sa uttarasya tanayam upayema iravatim janami jayadim chaturas tashyam utpadayat sutan.
King Parikshit married the daughter of King Uttara and begot 4 sons headed by Maharaja Janmajaya.
Ajaharasva medham strin gangayam bhuri dakshinan sharadvatam gurum kritva devayatrakshi gochara.
Maharaja Parikshit, after having selected Kripacharya for guidance as his spiritual master, performed 3 horse sacrifices on the banks of the Ganges. These were executed with sufficient rewards for the attendants, and at these sacrifices, even the common man could see demigods.
Nijagraho saviraha kalim digvijaye kvachit nripalinga dharam sudram yantam gomithunam pada.
Only when Maharaja Parikshit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than a Sudra, disguised as a king and hurting the legs of a cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him and dealt sufficient punishment.
Yeah, so this is, we can take a little break at that point.
Prabhuji, did he kill 3 horses? I don't know, I don't understand that.
No, this is, he's just basically saying that, the verse is saying that Maharaj Pariksit, he was conquering the world, and he saw Kali Yuga, the personification of Kali Yuga, who was disguised like a king. He was dressed as a king, but actually is lower than a Shudra. And the personification of Kali Yuga was attacking the legs of a cow and a bull. So the king got hold of him to punish him.
No, they killed 3 horses, sacrificed 3 horses.
Performed 3 horse sacrifices. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is little different in the sense that when these horses are sacrificed by the qualified Brahmins, qualified acharyas, they are actually given human birth. So it's not that they're given a higher birth. So this is the thing with what happened later. The Brahminical community, they were using the Vedas to do these animal sacrifices in order to enjoy the flesh of the animals. And they were not qualified to give those animals the promotion to human life. So then they misused the Vedas in order to satisfy their tongues. So that was not allowed. But here, this is authorized by the Vedic scriptures. It's not that the horses are sacrificed, they're just killed for sense enjoyment, but there are various prescribed ways of sacrificing these horses in order that they achieve human life. So that's one of the things. It's a benefit for the horses, actually. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
No, thank you for asking. It's good. Very good. So let's just have a quick look at chapter, as we know, how Parikshit Maharaj received the age of Kali. He meets Kali. He began firstly to conquer over the whole world. And that, of course, is done under the instructions of the Brahmins. After he selected Kripacharya for guidance. So Kripacharya has been around for a long time. He was the brother-in-law of Dronacharya. Dronacharya married Kripacharya's sister, Kripa. And so Kripacharya has been around for many generations. He was actually a very well versed acharya. So he was acting as a spiritual master. And at that time, they performed these 3 horse sacrifices on the banks of the Ganga. And once when Parikshit Maharaj was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than the Shudra, disguised as a king, who was hurting the legs of the cow and the bull. And he did his duty. He got hold of him in order to punish him. And usually the punishment for that would be death. But let's see what happens. Okay. Over to you, Anandalila Maji.
Sunaka uvacha Kasya heto nijagraha Kalindigvijayin nripaha Nirdeva chinha driksudra Koshogamyah padahanat Tatkatyatam mahabhaga Yadi Krishna kathashrayam.
Sonaka Rishi inquired, why did Maharaja Parikshit simply punish him, since he was the lowest of the Sudras? Having dressed as a king and having struck a cow on the leg, please describe all these incidents if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna.
Athavasya padam bhoja makarandaliham satam kimanye rashad alapir ayuso yat asadvyayaha.
The devotees of the Lord are accustomed to licking up the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord. What is the use of topics which simply waste one's valuable life?
Shudrayusam vinamanga martyanamritam ichatam ihopahuto bhagavan mrityu samitra karmani.
O Sutta Goswami, there are those amongst men who desire freedom from death and yet eternal life. They escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death Yamraja.
Na kaschinmriyate tavad yavadashta ihantakah etadartham hi bhagavan ahutah paramarshibhi aho nirloke piyeta hari leelamritam vachah.
As long as Yamraja, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited the controller of death, Yamraja, who is the representative of the Lord. Living beings who are under his grip should take advantage of the nectar in the form of this narration and transcendental pastimes of the Lord.
Mandasya manda prajnasya vayo mandayusascha vai nidraya hiryate naktam divacha vyartha karmabhi.
Lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping and the day performing activities that are for naught.
Wonderful. Thank you. Amazing set of verses there. So, Shanakarishi, he asked Sutta Goswami. So the conversation here is between these two great sages to explain the pastimes of Parikshit Maharaj and Kali in detail, as long as they relate to the pastime of Lord Krishna. This is important. So Parikshit Maharaj was very clear. He wanted everything in connection with Krishna. The devotees of the Lord are accustomed to licking up the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord. Those among men who desire freedom from death escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death, who is Yamraj, by hearing Krishna Katha. And very interesting how it describes in that last verse, number 9 that we read, lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping and the day performing activities that are for naught. So life is very short. We know that. It can end at any moment. Yet we spend so much time on things that are just not important. We just waste so much time. And instead of focusing on what is important, what will do us ultimate benefit, give us ultimate benefit, we focus on those activities which amount to nothing. So this is one of the instruction, very clear instruction in the Bhagavatam. Don't waste time. Really focus on what is important. So let's carry on. Anandalila, please.
Sutta Yada parikshit kurujangale vasa kalim pravishtam nija chakravartite nisamya vata manati priyam tata sarasanam samyuga sondiradade.
Suta Goswami said, while Maharaj Parikshit was residing in the capital of the Kuru Empire, the symptoms of the age of Kali began to infiltrate within the jurisdictions of his state. When he learned about this, he did not think the matter very palatable. This did, however, give him a chance to fight. He took up his bow and arrows and prepared himself for military activities.
स्वलङ्कृतं श्यामतोरङ्गयोजितं रथं मृगेन्द्रध्वजम् आश्रितः पुरात् वृतो रथास्वद्विपपतियुक्तया स्वसेनया दिग्विजयाय निर्गतः.
Maharaja Parikshit sat on the chariot drawn by black horses. His flag was marked with the sign of a lion. Being so decorated and surrounded by charioteers, cavalry, elephants, and infantry soldiers, he left the capital to conquer in all directions.
भद्रास्वं केतुमालं च भारतं चोत्तरान् कुरुन् किं पुरुषादिनी वर्षाणि विजित्य चागृहे बलिम्.
Maharaja Parikshit then conquered all parts of the earthly planet. Bhadravesa, Bhadrasava, Ketumala, Bharata, the northern, Kuru, Kimpusura, etc., and exacted tributes from their respective rulers.
तत्र तत्रोपसृण्वानः स्वपूर्वेषां महात्मनां प्रज्ञामानं च यशः कृष्णमाहात्म्यसूचकम् आत्मानं च परित्रातम् अश्वत्थाम्नोऽस्त्रतेजसः स्नेहं च वृष्णिपार्थानां तेषां भक्तिं च केशवे तेभ्यः परमसन्तुष्टः प्रीति ऊर्जुम्भितलोचनः महाधानानि वाशांसि ददोहारान् महामनाः.
Wherever the king visited, he continuously heard the glories of his great forefathers, who were all devotees of the Lord, and also of the glorious acts of Lord Krishna. He also heard how he himself had been protected by the Lord from the powerful heat of the weapon of Ashwathama. People also mentioned the great affection between the descendants of Varsni and Pratha. Due to the latter's great devotion of the Lord Keshava, the king, being very pleased with the singers of such glories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Out of managementally, he was pleased to award them very valuable necklaces and clothing.
You muted, Ananda Leela.
Sorry, Mataji.
That's okay.
सारथ्य पार सदा सेवन सख्य धोत्य विरासनानुगमन स्तवन प्रणामान स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत् प्रणतिं च विष्णोर् भक्तिं करोति नरपतिश्चरणारविन्दे.
Maharaja Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, who is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu and accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, framed night watchman extra, according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaja Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord.
Okay. So he tours, Parikshit Maharaj tours his kingdom. When Parikshit Maharaj was residing in his capital, the symptoms of Kali Yuga began to infiltrate within the jurisdiction of his state. He took a bow and arrow and prepared himself for military activities, conquering all parts of the earth. So he was one of the last rulers who conquered the whole world and ruled the whole world. After that, it was split into different countries and different kings. But before that, he was the main king and everybody else was submissive towards him. Whenever he went, he continuously heard the glories of his forefathers and also of the glorious acts of Krishna. How Krishna showed himself to be so humble. This is the beauty of God. When he doesn't actually like to advertise himself as God. Very, very humble. Whereas we have a little bit different attitude. We like to be glorified as superior. But the Lord, although he is superior, he doesn't like to manifest that. Occasionally he will, in order to serve a purpose. But otherwise, especially when he descends as Krishna, he just shows his sweetness, not his greatness. His greatness is hidden, but his sweetness is very manifest. And there's a reason for that, because in age of Kali Yuga, our hearts are very hard, but they can be conquered by sweetness, not greatness. So this is one of the things that the Lord does. He manifests his sweetness. So he conquers our hearts. And so Maharaj Parikshit, he was overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna when he heard all these amazing pastimes, as anybody would be. And sometimes he would act as a chariot driver or washing the feet of the sages at the Rajasuya or Yudhishthir. Such a humility, amazing. Okay, Mataji, carry on.
तस्यैवं वर्तमानस्य पूर्वेषां वृत्तिमन्वहं नातिदूरे किलाश्चर्यं यद् आश्रित तन्निबोध मे.
Now you may hear from me of what happened while Maharaja Parikshit was passing his days, hearing of the good occupations of his forefathers and being observed in the thought of them.
धर्मः पदैकिनाचरन् विचायाम् उपलभ्य गाम् पृच्छति स्माश्रुवदनाम् विवत्सामिव मातरम्.
The personality of religious principles, Dharma, was wandering about in the form of a bull, and he met the personality of earth in the form of a cow, who appeared to grieve like a mother who had lost her child. She had tears in her eyes, and the beauty of her body was lost. Thus Dharma questioned the earth as follows.
Kachid bhadrena mayamaatmanaste vichayashi mrayate shanmukhena alakshaye bhavatim mantaradhim dure bandhum sochashikanchanamba.
Dharma, in the form of a bull, asked, Madam, are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief? It appears by your face that you have become black. Are you suffering from some eternal disease, or are you thinking of some relative who is away in a distant place?
Is it 20, Prabhu? पादेर्न्यूनं सोचशिमेकपादम् आत्मानं वावृषलेर्भोक्ष्यमानम् आहोसुरादीन् हृदयज्ञभागान् प्रजा उत्तस्मिन्मखवती अवर्सति.
I have lost my 3 legs and am now standing on one only. Are you lamenting for my state of existence, or are you in great anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you, or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings, because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because of their sufferings due to famine and drought?
अरक्ष्यमाणाः स्त्रियोर्विबालान् शोचशीयतो पुरुषादेरिवातान् वाचं देवीं ब्रह्मा कुले कुकर्मणि अब्रह्मण्ये राजा कुले कुलाग्र्यान्.
Are you feeling compassion of the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because of goddess of learning is being handled by brahmanas addicted to acts against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture?
किं क्षत्रबन्धून् कलिनोपास्रस्तान् रास्त्राणि वातैरवरोपितानि इतस्ततो वासनपानवासः स्नानव्यावायोन्मुखजीवलोकम्.
The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali, and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc. And they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this?
यद्वाम्बते भूरि भरावतार कृतावतारस्य हरिर्धारित्री अन्तर्हितस्य स्मरति विसृष्टा कर्माणि निर्वाणविलम्बितानि.
Hare Krishna. Hear it.
Oh Mother, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari incarnated himself as Lord Shri Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. All his activities here are transcendental, and they cement the path of liberation. You are now bereft of his presence. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence.
Idam mama chakshva tavadhimulam vasundhareyena vikarsitashi kalena vate balinam baliyasa surarchitam kim hitamam bashobhagam.
Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations, by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcefully taken away all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigods.
Okay, we can take a little break now. Dharma questions, Bhumi. Very interesting. Personality of religious principles, Dharma, was wandering about in the form of a bull. So Dharma took the shape of a bull. And he met the personality of Earth, who took the form of Gaumata. So she takes the form of Gaumata in many cases. She does that when Earth was burdened by the unruly kings, and she approached Lord Brahma for help. She went in the form of a cow, and then they both went to see Lord Vishnu at the ocean of Shvetadvip. And again, she remained as Gaumata. So this is one of the representations of Earth is Gaumata. And the beauty of Gaumata, her body, had been lost. So Dharma questioned Gaumata, or the earth. Why was she covered with such a shadow of grief? Was it because he, Dharma, had lost 3 legs? So these are the generally religious principles stand on 4 legs. What are they? Mercy, cleanliness, truthfulness, and austerity. But in Kali Yuga, 3 of those are lost. And one that remains, truthfulness. But even that is not really manifest anymore. So Dharma asked, is it because you've lost 3 legs? I've lost 3 legs. You are now crying. And I'm only standing on 1 leg. Or is it that the unscrupulous people, they have exploited your resources, the earth's resources? Is that why you're upset? Or is it because the Supreme Lord Krishna has departed from this world, and he was always putting his lotus feet on your body, and now you are bereft of his presence? So is that why you are so sad? Dharma further stated that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, must have forcibly taken away all your good fortune, which was even adored by the demigods. So this is an important point, that we might think that we are powerful, but there's something in this world which is more powerful than anybody, and that is time. Time destroys. Even the richest person in the world, the most handsome, the most strong, the most beautiful, they're all conquered simply by time. Okay, Mataji.
Dharani uvacha bhavan hi veda tat sarvam yanmam dharmanuprichashe chaturbhir vartase yena padai loka sukhan vahe.
The earthly deity, in the form of a cow, thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull or dharma. Whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply to all those questions. Once you two were mentioned by your 4 legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord.
Satyam socham daya kshanti tyagah santosharjavam samudamastapah samyam titikso paratihi shutam Jnanam viraktir aishwaryam suryam tejo balam smitihi swatantriyam kaushalam kantir dhairyam mardavamevacha प्रागल्भ्यं प्रश्रयः शिलं सह ओजो बलं भागः गाम्भीर्यं स्थैर्यमास्तिक्यं कीर्तिर्मानो नहङ्कृतिः एते चान्ये च भगवन् नित्या यत्र महागुणाः प्रार्थ्या महात्वमिच्छाभिर्न वियन्ति स्म कर्हिचित् तेनाहं गुणपात्रेण श्रीनिवासेन साम्प्रतं शोचामि रहितं लोकं पापमानाकलिनेक्षितम्.
In him reside truthfulness, cleanness, intolerance of another unhappiness. The power to control anger, self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of the sense organs, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, seniority, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, immovability, fidelity, fame, worship, pridelessness, being as the personality of Godhead, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goddess, goodness, and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna, has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age Kali has spread its influence. Spread. Where is it gone? Spread his influence everywhere. So I'm sorry to see this condition of existence. Hare Krishna.
आत्मानं चानुशोचामि भवन्तं चामरोतमं देवान् पितॄन् ऋषीन् साधून् सर्वान् वर्णांस्तथाश्रमान्.
I'm thinking about myself and also, O best amongst the demigods, about you as well as about all the demigods, sages, designants, and Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna and Ashrama in human society.
ब्रह्मादयो बाहुतितं यदपाङ्गमोक्षा कामास्तपसमाचरन् भगवत्प्रपन्नाः साश्रीः स्ववासम् अरविन्दवनं विहाय यत्पादशोभगम् मलं भजतेऽनुरक्ता तस्याहम् अब्जाकुलिशाङ्कुशकेतुकेते श्रीमत्पदे भगवतः समलङ्कृताङ्गी त्रीन् अत्यरुच उपलभ्य ततो विभूतिं लोकान् समां व्यसृजत् उत्स्मयातिं तदन्ते.
Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, and for whom they surrendered many a day unto the personality of Godhead, gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers and engaged herself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all the three planetary systems by being decorated with the immersion of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving rod, and the lotus flower, which are signs of the lotus feet of the Lord. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, the Lord left me.
यो वै ममातिभरम् आसुरवंशराज्ञम् ओ अक्षोहिणी सतम् अपानुददात्मतन्त्रः तदङ्गम्.
O personality of religion, I was greatly overburdened by the undue military phalanxes arranged by the atheistic kings, and I was relieved by the grace of the personality of Godhead. Similarly, you were also in the distressed condition, weakened in your standing strength, and thus he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of the Yadavas to relieve you.
पुरुषोत्तमस्य प्रेमावलोकनम् समानम् मधुमालिनीनां रोमो
Who therefore can tolerate the pangas of separation from the and passionate wrath of his sweethearts, like glance and hearty appeals when he I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet and thus would be standing on me out of pleasure.
नाम राजर्षिः प्राप्तः प्राचीं सरस्वतीम्. Hare Krishna.
While the earth and the personality of religion were the Hare Krishna.
Separation from Krishna. Earth in the form of a cow replied, Shiva, of all goodness and beauty, has completed his pastimes. Bread, it's everywhere. So this is what happens when the age of Kali rose. She was on two counts. One, Krishna left, but second, that Kali entered. The Lord appeared of the Lord. Wonderful qualities. I think 39 of them altogether. Relieved us from all of our burdens. And then she says, I was three planetary systems by being decorated with the impressions of the this is actually an idea of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. These are the symbols that are present on his lotus feet. Beautiful. And these would trample all over the earth, walk all over the earth. Left me. Who can tolerate the pangs of separation from Krishna? Separation from Krishna. But it doesn't stop him from doing. There may not be separation, but the service continues. Seva. How we're feeling should not impact upon the seva. While the bull and the cow were talking, the saintly King Parikshit reached the shore of the Saraswati River, which flowed towards the east. So that's the end of the chapter. And we'll see next week what Parikshit.
Charanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajeham. Yes, Prabhu, it is very nice. Krishna Katha. So
Yeah.
here we have a prayer which starts as follows. Kali kukuraka danayadi chao he Sri Sachinandana gao he. Then sing the holy name of the son of Sachi, that is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Also, while we were listening this Krishna Katha, it mentioned about some people waste time, uselessly sleeping and spend the days decorating the bodies. So in the Udilo Arunodaya Kirtan, part 1, there's some passage, and it is like that. It is, in fact, it's a song, so I'll sing it a little bit, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bolore Vadana Bhori Miche Nida Bashe Gelore Rati Divasa Sari Rasaje. Waste your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your Emona durlabha manava deho bhajile jashoda suta charame parivel. What are you doing? Don't you care for this gift? If you don't worship the darling of Mother Yashoda now, then great sorrow awaits you at the time of death. Udita tapana hoile asta, dinagelo boli hoi bebhyasta, tabe keno eve alasa ho. Why then do you remain idle, refusing to serve the Lord of the heart? Jivana anitya jana hasar, ahenana vidha vipadabhar, namashraya kori jatana tumi, takaha panakaje. Know for certain that this life only business. Nitai Gaura Haribol Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, Prabhuji, one question.
Sure.
I don't know if you have time to answer that. Is
Go for
the
it.
Lord's feet, you know, the Lord's feet has got all these symbols.
Oh, yes.
They have all the names for it.
Yes, there's a whole list of them. I have it somewhere in the presentations. So I'll share it. It's somewhere around. We've done a session on what these symbols. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Maji. And this is how he's distinguished from everybody else. He has these symbols. Vishnu also. All of them. And Radha has as well. Not just on the feet, but on the hands as well. Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much. We shall call it a day, and we shall thank you so much, Ananda Leela, for reciting. So very beautifully reciting.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
And happy Christmas.
And happy Christmas to you too.
Happy Christmas to all Vaishnavas. Nitai Gaura
And
Haribol.
Mataji, happy Christmas.
And you.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Shaivi. Enjoy.